In the year 2142, on a clear September night, humanity bore witness to an unprecedented event. The sky split open with a soundless shimmer, and a colossal spaceship, a sleek and iridescent marvel, appeared in Earth's orbit. The vessel was like nothing humans had ever seen, vast and elegant with strange, swirling patterns of light and dark blue that rippled across its surface as if the ship were alive. News outlets worldwide went wild, broadcasting the arrival of Earth's first alien visitors. On board the ship were the Sivirath Sisters ambassadors and scientists from the distant Zionian Empire, a civilization so advanced they could manipulate space-time and read minds as easily as humans sent emails. They were a race of breathtaking beauty, with silver-tinted skin that glowed softly under starlight and eyes that seemed to change color with their emotions, shifting from icy blue to intense violet. Their hair, crystalline and flowing, cascaded in strange, shifting hues, moving like liquid glass. The sisters were 9 in total, all highly intelligent and intimidatingly self-assured. They were the pride of Zionia, chosen specifically for their knowledge of galactic cultures and advanced xenobiology. To them, Earth was like a rustic village tucked away in a backwater corner of the galaxy, quaint and entirely behind the times. This tiny blue planet had drawn their attention only because it housed one of the few unstudied sentient species. From the start, the Sivirath sisters viewed humans with amusement. They observed Earth's technology with a mixture of fascination and derision, chuckling at the primitive screens and clunky machines humans relied upon. To the sisters, everything on Earth was childishly basic. Cities looked like toy blocks, while human transportation, their cars and planes, were sluggish and inefficient. And Earth's languages? Crude, limited, and oddly literal. But amidst their mockery, the sisters had one directive: understand humanity as much as possible. As they prepared to interact with Earth's representatives, they made a surprising request. They wanted a single human male to serve as their primary liaison. This request raised eyebrows among Earth's leaders, who scrambled to select someone suitable. After much debate, they landed on Max Thorne, an unassuming but brilliant astronomer in his mid-30s. Max was known for his dedication to space research and had a reputation for calm under pressure. He was ordinary in appearance, with messy brown hair, a slightly crooked smile, and a patient demeanor that many found endearing. Max had been studying the stars all his life, and now he was about to meet a species from among them. When he was briefed on his new role, he felt both excited and deeply anxious. After all, he was about to meet beings from another world who were infinitely more advanced than anything he could imagine. When Max first entered the Sivirath sisters' ship, he was struck by its alien beauty. The walls seemed alive, shifting with colors that responded to his presence. Strange, melodic hums filled the corridors, each tone shifting as he walked past, as if the ship were a living organism. And then he saw the sisters, tall, with an unearthly glow, their silver skin catching the light like polished metal, their crystalline hair floating gracefully as if defying gravity. The sisters greeted him with slight smiles that held a hint of condescension. Their leader, a poised woman named Kyra, stepped forward and studied him with an unreadable expression, her eyes shifting from violet to a deep, curious blue. She introduced herself in flawless English, though her tone was smooth and unnervingly cold. "So, this is Earth's chosen representative," Kyra remarked, her lips twitching in amusement. The other sisters exchanged glances, clearly entertained. Max's cheeks flushed under their scrutiny, but he took a deep breath and extended his hand. "Max Thorne, astronomer and, I suppose, Earth's chosen human," he said, trying to sound confident. The sisters blinked in surprise, not recognizing the gesture, and Kyra looked down at his hand with an arched eyebrow. "Our species does not use such physical customs," she said, amusement lacing her words. "Your handshake is a quaint tradition. I suggest you leave it behind." Max dropped his hand, feeling slightly foolish. The sisters' laughter echoed in his ears as they turned, motioning for him to follow them further into the ship. As the days passed, Max was pulled into rigorous questioning and observation sessions. The Siverth sisters asked him about everything from human emotions to Earth's social structures to science, art, and even religion. Each answer he gave was met with the same bemused expression, and occasionally, a smirk. When he described love, the sisters laughed outright. Humans are bound by chemical reactions in their bodies, one of the sisters, Lyran, chuckled. Your species believes in love, yet it's merely an evolutionary tactic to ensure survival. They dismissed his talk of freedom with patronizing nods, scoffing at the simplicity of Earth's philosophies and sciences. Even Earth's attempts at space travel were met with stifled laughter. In Zionia, such technology was already ancient history. But Max wasn't one to back down easily. He soon began challenging them, asking questions that cut deeper, forcing the sisters to consider that perhaps humanity held some mysteries of its own. He told them stories of human resilience, about artists and visionaries who had changed history, about explorers who risked their lives to expand the boundaries of knowledge, even if they didn't yet reach the stars. The sisters found his stories intriguing, though they hid their fascination behind polite, patronizing smiles. But their leader, Kyra, seemed especially captivated. She began spending extra time with Max, often joining him on the observation deck, where Earth glowed like a brilliant marble below. She would watch as he shared his dreams of exploring the galaxy, his eyes alight with a passion that was rare even among humans. And though she tried to hide it, Kyra felt a faint stirring, something she couldn't quite explain. Something about his earnestness, his hope in the face of such blatant limitations, struck a strange chord within her. One night, as Max spoke of his dreams, Kyra interrupted him, her voice softer than usual. Do you truly believe humanity could someday travel the stars? That you, tiny, fragile creatures could cross galaxies as we do? Max looked at her, a gentle smile on his lips. Why not? After all, we've already met you. For the first time, Kyra's laughter wasn't condescending. It was genuine. Unbeknownst to both of them, this bond, small as it was the first spark that would change everything. Weeks passed aboard the Siverth sisters' vessel, and Max found himself growing accustomed to their strange world. Each day brought more questions, and he'd become a sort of cultural specimen probed for insights into the oddities of human behavior. Max was still treated with a kind of aloof amusement, but he could sense a shift. The sisters were no longer merely tolerating his presence, they seemed genuinely interested in understanding him, even if they continued to hide their fascination behind haughty smiles. Their initial experiments had been simple, studying his neural responses and physiological traits. But the sisters quickly escalated to more complex studies. The leader, Kyra, was particularly keen on an experiment called the connection ritual. According to her, it would allow them to synchronize his mind with theirs, creating a temporary psychic bond to understand his thoughts and emotions on a more intimate level. Max was skeptical. He'd learned enough about the Zionian psyche to know they viewed emotions as inconvenient and unreliable. But the sisters insisted. Kyra explained that the experiment would also help them gain a direct impression of human sensations first for their race, who had only observed humanity from a distance. Reluctantly, Max agreed. The day of the experiment arrived, and Max found himself in the heart of the Siverth ship, in a room like nothing he had ever seen before. The walls pulsed with swirling colors, from deep purples to vibrant greens, creating an ambient glow that danced around the room. The sisters stood in a circle, their hair flowing around them in strange, hypnotic waves, their eyes flashing with an ethereal light. Kyra stood at the center, holding a crystalline device that seemed to vibrate with energy. Stand here, Max, Kyra instructed, her voice soft yet commanding, pointing to a glowing circle etched into the floor. He stepped into the ring, feeling a shiver of apprehension. The connection ritual will align our neural frequencies, she explained. It will feel strange, but I assure you it's safe. We need you to remain calm and open to the experience. As Max nodded, the sisters raised their hands, their eyes closing in unison. The room grew silent, and a low hum filled the air. Max could feel an odd tingling sensation spread through his body, like static electricity running beneath his skin. Slowly, his mind began to open, thoughts and emotions stretching outward, as if he were expanding into the room itself. Suddenly, he wasn't alone in his mind. He could feel them glimpses of their thoughts, fragments of alien sensations, like faint echoes bouncing around his consciousness. Each sister's mind had a unique flavor, a particular energy that distinguished one from the other. He felt Kyra's presence most strongly, a cool, logical force that was simultaneously serene and sharp. Her thoughts were organized in a way that felt mechanical yet profound, like a perfectly tuned instrument. At first, Max struggled to hold onto his own thoughts, overwhelmed by the sheer volume of alien input. The sisters' minds were vast, filled with knowledge and memories spanning centuries. But as he focused, he began to feel something else, an emotion that felt foreign yet deeply familiar. It was a sense of curiosity tinged with vulnerability, a sensation he never would have expected from the sisters. And then, unexpectedly, he felt a deep, strange warmth that startled him. The warmth spread across the shared psychic link, surprising each sister in turn. They gasped, their minds jolted by an emotion they had never truly experienced before, affection. For the first time, they felt the unique way a human could hold both respect and compassion for another, an emotion so utterly foreign to the Zionian mind. In her surprise, Kyra tried to shut down the connection, but the bond had taken on a life of its own, an unstoppable force linking all 10 minds in a web of shared understanding. Max's emotions flowed freely, exposing his memories, dreams, and deepest fears, laid bare in a way that left him vulnerable and raw. The sisters, in turn, felt a mix of awe and confusion. For beings who prided themselves on logic, the rush of human emotions was as intoxicating as it was unsettling. It was Lyran, the youngest sister, who spoke first, her voice barely a whisper as the psychic connection amplified her thoughts. "Is this love?" Max opened his eyes, feeling his heart pounding. I suppose you could call it that. I've never felt anything like this before either." The sisters looked at one another, exchanging glances that spoke of a shared revelation. They had spent their lives mocking the emotional nature of humans, dismissing it as a weakness. Yet here, in this strange, vulnerable state, they realized that human emotions possessed a power they had never encountered. This bond, this love, felt like a force that could bridge the gap between their worlds. The sisters' reactions varied. Lyran was wide-eyed with wonder, her normally aloof expression softened by a sense of discovery. Another sister, Vesari, looked hesitant, as if uncomfortable with the depth of feeling she was experiencing. But Kyra's expression was the hardest to read. Her eyes held a mixture of wonder and something darker, something cautious and restrained. Finally, she spoke, her voice steady but softer than before. "This is not what we expected. Our study was meant to be objective, detached. But it seems we've crossed a boundary." Max gave a small, apologetic smile. "I didn't plan this either. But I think maybe understanding us means more than just studying facts. Maybe it's about connection." The sisters fell silent, absorbing his words. They knew, logically, that emotions were an evolutionary mechanism, a means of survival for less advanced species. But in the face of Max's presence, the old Zionian beliefs about emotional inferiority felt inadequate, even wrong. The sisters were beginning to see humanity as more than just a curiosity. The next few days after the experiment were marked by a profound change. Each sister interacted with Max differently, their demeanor subtly altered. Lyran often asked him questions about human relationships, fascinated by the stories he shared about love and family. Even the more stoic sisters began joining him on the observation deck, where he would speak of Earth's history, human resilience, and the boundless curiosity that drove them to the stars. But Max noticed something odd. The sisters, once dismissive of his presence, now seemed drawn to him. Sometimes he'd catch one or another watching him, their alien eyes softening with an emotion they couldn't quite understand. Even Kyra seemed to linger when they spoke, as if reluctant to let him go. Then, one night, Kyra called him back to the connection chamber. She wanted to repeat the experiment, claiming she needed more data. But Max sensed it was more than that. As they re-entered the psychic link, Kyra spoke, her thoughts brushing against his mind like a gentle breeze. Max, I've never experienced anything like this. Your mind is different. Chaotic, yes, but there's something beautiful about it. Max smiled, feeling a warmth spread through him. Thank you, Kyra. I think there's something beautiful about you too, even if you're different. For the first time, he saw her smile soft, genuine, and filled with a vulnerability she'd hidden from the others. In that moment, Max realized he was no longer just an experiment to her. He was something more. And as they stood together, connected in mind and heart, neither of them realized that the psychic bond they had formed was not just a fleeting connection. It was something deeper, something that would soon have consequences they never could have anticipated. After the second connection ritual, the Siverith sisters found themselves navigating unfamiliar, powerful emotions. Though they had entered Max's mind to study and understand him, they now found themselves changed, wrestling with feelings that defied Zionian logic. For the first time, the sisters felt a deep sense of attachment and longing, a vulnerability that left them both fascinated and disoriented. The transformation was most apparent in Kyra. As the leader of the sisters and a respected scientist within the Zionian Empire, she had always valued reason over sentiment. But the bond with Max left her questioning everything she once held dear. She found herself wanting to know him, not as a subject of study, but as a person. In the quiet hours of the night, when they were alone on the observation deck, Kyra would ask Max questions about his childhood, his dreams, and his hopes for humanity. She was captivated by the fierce curiosity and optimism that defined him, even in the face of overwhelming odds. One evening, as they watched Earth turn below them, bathed in the soft glow of the sun's light, Kyra turned to Max, her silver eyes shimmering. Tell me, Max, why do humans believe in love, even though it causes so much pain? Max paused, choosing his words carefully. Love isn't about logic, Kyra. It's about connection. Even when it hurts, it makes us feel alive. It gives us a reason to hope, to fight, to keep going even when things seem impossible. Kyra's eyes softened, the faintest hint of a smile tugging at her lips. We Zionians have always believed that attachment weakens us, that it makes us vulnerable. But with you, I feel stronger. And yet, I fear I am becoming more like you. Max chuckled softly. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. Their bond grew, becoming something deeper and more profound. They began to share their thoughts openly, blending their minds in the silent language of the psychic connection. Kyra's sisters noticed the change and, to their surprise, felt the same pull. Each of them, in her own way, was drawn to Max's warmth and sincerity. The youngest, Lyran, was particularly taken by his kindness. She had never known compassion like his, a quality so freely given without expectation. As Max continued his interactions with each sister, they all found themselves gravitating toward him, entranced by his humanity. It was an odd sensation these highly advanced beings, who had once looked down on Earth and its inhabitants, now looked at Max with admiration. They even began to understand his stories of human resilience, and they could see how love drove humans to accomplish feats even when the odds were impossible. But then, strange things began happening. Lyran was the first to notice. She had been feeling tired lately, something unusual for a Zionian, as their physiology was optimized to avoid exhaustion. She felt odd twinges in her body that she couldn't quite explain, and a strange energy she'd never experienced before. She brushed it off as the lingering effects of the psychic bond with Max, but when the same symptoms appeared in Visari and two other sisters, worry spread through their ranks. They conducted a series of tests, using the ship's advanced medical scanners to analyze their conditions. Kyra, ever logical, dismissed it as a temporary reaction to Earth's atmosphere and Max's energy. But the results told a different story. What? What is this? Kyra stammered as she looked at the medical data. The readings were clear, even though they were difficult to believe. All 9 sisters were pregnant. Shock rippled through the group as each sister reviewed her results, confirming the impossible. They were carrying life-Zionian human hybrids. The idea was unimaginable. Their physiology wasn't supposed to be compatible with any other species, let alone humans. Yet the psychic bond had created a bridge between them, allowing something extraordinary to happen. Kyra turned to Max, her expression a mixture of wonder and horror. Max, we're carrying your children. Max felt his legs go weak. How? How is that even possible? The connection ritual. It must have triggered an energy transfer, Lyran whispered, her voice trembling. We never considered that our physiology might merge. The sisters were stunned. Each of them had maintained a life of intellectual detachment, devoted to knowledge and discovery. The concept of motherhood was foreign, something they had never intended to experience. And now, they were facing a choice that would test their loyalty to the Zionian Empire and the limits of their understanding. The news of the pregnancies soon reached the Zionian Empire, and the response was immediate and severe. Zionian officials deemed the hybrids an abomination, a genetic contamination that would compromise their species' purity. They demanded the sisters return home immediately for containment and purification protocols, a euphemism that made it clear the Empire had no intention of letting the children survive. The sisters were devastated, torn between loyalty to their home and the lives they now carried. Despite their advanced intellects and stoic natures, they felt an unexpected surge of protectiveness. Kyra, once so detached, found herself moved by a fierce love she didn't fully understand, a primal instinct to shield her unborn child. Max was equally determined to protect the sisters and their children. He spoke passionately to them about family and the strength of love, encouraging them to choose for themselves, not out of fear of the Empire's demands. You have a right to decide, Max said, his voice firm. These children, they're a part of both of us. They could be a bridge between our worlds. A way to prove that we're not so different after all. Moved by his words, Kyra made a decision. She would not return to the Empire, nor would she allow her sisters to be forced back. The Zionian Empire's values no longer resonated with her. They felt cold and archaic, while Earth, for all its faults, offered her a chance to embrace a new path. As the sisters prepared to defy their own civilization, they rallied support on Earth. With Max's help, they reached out to scientists, world leaders, and humanitarian organizations. Earth was captivated by the story of these alien women, stranded and expecting hybrid children, each one a symbol of peace and hope. Humanity, inspired by the sisters' courage, came together to offer sanctuary. But the Zionian Empire did not take their defiance lightly. A fleet of Zionian ships appeared on the edge of Earth's solar system, a show of force meant to intimidate the sisters into submission. The tension grew as Earth and the Zionian Empire exchanged threats. Max worked tirelessly to bridge the divide, speaking with Earth's leaders and urging them to support the sisters' right to choose their future. In a historic assembly, Earth's leaders, along with representatives of the United Nations and scientific communities, issued a statement of solidarity. They vowed to protect the sisters and their unborn children, declaring that any act of aggression from the Zionian Empire would be met with Earth's united resistance. The standoff continued, but eventually, the Empire's political interests outweighed their desire to intervene. Faced with the threat of intergalactic conflict and the burgeoning support for the sisters' cause, the Empire relented, though not without bitterness. They decreed that the sisters were no longer citizens of Zionia, essentially exiling them from their homeworld. But the sisters accepted this fate, standing by Max and choosing to raise their children on Earth. As months passed, the first of the hybrid children were born. Each child bore the unique traits of both worlds: silver-tinted skin with warm undertones, eyes that sparkled with Zionian luminescence but held the depth of human curiosity. The children became symbols of unity and peace, proof that two vastly different species could not only coexist but also create something entirely new. The sisters, once aloof and dismissive of humanity, now looked upon their new home with love and gratitude. Their bond with Max had shown them that connection transcends biology, species, and even the vastness of space. And Max, who had once felt insignificant in the grand scheme of the cosmos, found himself at the heart of an interstellar family that embodied the very best of both worlds. In the end, the sisters no longer laughed at humanity. They had discovered that Earth was more than just a primitive planet. It was a place where love and resilience could thrive, and where the impossible was only the beginning. Life on Earth had irrevocably changed for the Sivirth sisters and for humanity. After the standoff with the Zionian Empire, the sisters and Max settled into a peaceful existence on Earth, though their lives remained anything but ordinary. Each sister took on a new role as a mother, a bridge between civilizations, and an ambassador of unity. The birth of the hybrid children was celebrated worldwide, their arrival symbolizing not just the fusion of two species, but the possibilities of a shared future. Each child was unique, bearing traits from both worlds. They had the sisters' silver skin with a warm, human undertone and Max's expressive eyes. They glowed softly in the dark like their mothers, yet their human warmth and smiles could light up a room. As the sisters adapted to their new lives on Earth, they became beloved figures, admired for their intelligence, strength, and now, their unexpected maternal grace. Their initial condescension had faded, replaced by respect and even love for the planet they now called home. The challenges of motherhood and integration parenthood was an entirely foreign experience for the sisters. On Zionia, family bonds were professional, intellectual partnerships rather than emotional relationships. But raising hybrid children who embodied both human emotions and Zionian logic was a challenge that required them to reconsider their perspectives on family, community, and love. Max played an instrumental role, supporting the sisters through the complexities of parenthood. He introduced them to Earth's customs, guiding them through the intimate rituals of human life, bedtime stories, lullabies, and the warmth of a family dinner. These moments, which had once seemed trivial to the sisters, now became cherished parts of their new lives. The youngest sister, Lyran, was particularly intrigued by human customs. She took on the role of a teacher and cultural guide for her children, eagerly learning from Max and teaching her hybrid daughter, Elara, about Earth's folklore, music, and art. Elara was as curious and sensitive as her human father, and Lyran found herself captivated by the world through her daughter's eyes. Meanwhile, Kyra, ever the stoic scientist, initially struggled with the emotional depth required for motherhood. Her son, Orion, exhibited an intense curiosity and intelligence even at a young age, constantly questioning and observing the world around him. Slowly, Kyra found herself letting go of her Zionian restraint, embracing the strange, unpredictable joy of nurturing him. Her love for Orion grew beyond what she had imagined possible, and in time, Kyra came to see her son as her greatest discovery, her most profound connection to the universe. An education of worlds. As the children grew, Earth's scientific communities took a keen interest in the hybrids. They were the first of their kind, combining the advanced physiology of the Zionians with the adaptability and resilience of humans. The hybrid children could understand complex concepts from an early age, their Zionian traits granting them heightened perception and telepathic abilities. But this attention wasn't always positive. There were those who saw the hybrids as a potential threat, as proof that Earth was vulnerable to alien influence. Some human factions campaigned against the integration of alien and human societies, fearing that these new beings would disrupt Earth's way of life. Rumors spread, claiming the hybrids had mind control powers or were capable of harnessing unknown energies. Max, the sisters, and Earth's leaders worked to ease these fears, promoting transparency and open dialogue. They collaborated with scientists and governments to establish a council for intergalactic relations, ensuring that both Earth and Zionian values were represented. The council facilitated open forums, allowing Earth's citizens to learn about the Zionians firsthand, meeting the sisters and the hybrid children in peaceful settings. The children became living symbols of unity, their existence proving that differences could be embraced rather than feared. One day, during a televised Earth-Zionian summit, Kyra spoke to an audience of millions. Her voice was calm but held a warmth that no one had ever heard from her before. Humanity and Zionia once saw each other as strangers. But I have learned that love, this strange, irrational emotion, can be the bridge between worlds. My son and my family are a testament to that truth. We are not here to change Earth, we are here to become part of it, to learn from it, and to contribute to it. Her words resonated with people around the world. For the first time, Earth saw the Sivarth sisters not as aliens, but as part of a larger human family, united by love and the desire to build a shared future. A message for the stars. As the hybrid children grew into young adulthood, they became ambassadors in their own right. Fluent in both Zionian knowledge and human culture, they worked tirelessly to advocate for unity across the stars. Earth's technology, while primitive by Zionian standards, advanced rapidly through the sisters' contributions, leading to innovations in energy, medicine, and space exploration. Elara, Lyran's daughter, developed a fascination with music, blending Zionian harmonics with human melodies to create hauntingly beautiful compositions. Her music resonated with Earth's people and even caught the attention of other galactic civilizations. Soon, her work was broadcast to distant star systems, a cultural bridge between Earth and Zionia that transcended words. Orion, Kyra's son, pursued interstellar diplomacy. He advocated for peaceful intergalactic relations and established the first Earth-based organization dedicated to extraterrestrial exchange. His presence and vision of cooperation brought together diplomats from various planets, making Earth a hub for intergalactic peacekeeping. One night, as Max sat on a hill with Kyra, watching the stars, he reflected on the journey they had taken. I never imagined that I'd be part of something so vast, he admitted, his eyes twinkling with the light of distant stars. To think, it all started with a bit of curiosity. Kyra looked at him, her expression softened by years of love and companionship. Curiosity brought us together, Max. But your love made it possible for us to stay. The legacy of the Sivarth sisters. Decades later, the hybrid children had grown into leaders, artists, and explorers, leaving their mark on Earth and the galaxy. Humanity had changed, integrating Zionian wisdom with human spirit. People looked to the stars not with fear, but with a sense of belonging, knowing they were not alone. The Sivarth sisters remained on Earth, their once mocking smiles replaced by a warmth that reflected the depth of their connection to their new home. They were respected elders, guiding both humans and Zionians, teaching that love was not a weakness, but the greatest strength. As Earth's first interstellar ship prepared for launch, captained by Orion and with Elara's music as the send-off, the sisters gathered with Max on the observation deck of their ship, now permanently docked on Earth. They watched the launch, feeling pride and a sense of fulfillment that transcended even their long lives. We once laughed at Earth, Kyra murmured, her eyes filled with a quiet joy. But it is Earth that taught us what we never knew we were missing. Max took her hand, a gesture that had once seemed so quaint, and smiled. Home isn't always where you're from. Sometimes, it's where you choose to be. And with that, the Sivarth sisters, once emissaries of a distant empire, now became Earth's most cherished ambassadors of peace. The story of the sisters and their love for humanity was recorded in the annals of interstellar history, reminding future generations that even the vastness of the cosmos could be bridged by a single, extraordinary connection. Their laughter, once mocking, was now filled with joy and belonging, proof that, sometimes, the smallest acts of kindness could spark a revolution across the stars.